Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. You want a Nokia phone, but Nokia doesn't make phones anymore. You have a Windows PC and you want a similar smartphone experience. You want a low-cost phone with a big screen that's easy to use. They're just a few of the reasons why you might be thinking about picking up a Lumia 535. But I'm here to help you answer the question, should you pick up a Lumia 535? Let's start by asking, what is it? The Lumia 535 is an £89 Windows phone, the first sporting Microsoft's branding. Since it launched, there was some controversy surrounding it. Reports went wild that the screen wasn't particularly responsive. PhoneDog did an excellent review highlighting the subject explicitly. Since then, the 525 has received an update to remedy this. Did it work? Thankfully for Microsoft, yes it did. So let's get down to the phone's features. £89 gets you a 5-inch screen, Qualcomm Snapdragon 200 processor, 1 gig of RAM and Windows Phone 8.1 on board. The design is incredibly inoffensive. It loses some of the flair that Nokia brought with its Lumia range in the first place, but at the same time it's about as accessible as any 5-inch screen device that we've ever seen. Specifically, this comes down to the plastic body, a matte plastic with curvaceous sides. It's available with a range of back covers that you can swap out to change your color, very reminiscent of old school Nokia Express-On covers. Volume and power buttons sit to the right while the headphone jack sits up top, a micro USB port's down below, and there are no buttons on the left hand side. Above the 5-inch display sits a 5 megapixel camera. Around the back, another 5 megapixel camera, only this time with a flash. You've also got the loudspeaker as well. Under the hood you've got a 1905 mAh removable battery, micro SIM slot and a micro SD card slot too. The whole phone does feel a little bit hollow. Microsoft could have done a better job of the fit and finish. But you can't argue with the price. At under £89, there's very little out there that is really perfect. The 5-inch panel is QHD resolution. That means 540 by 960 pixels and 220 pixels per inch. That's fair enough for an entry-level phone like this. What you also get is IPS screen technology, and that normally denotes amazing viewing angles and really bright punchy colors for an LCD display. On the Lumia 535 it's good, the viewing angles are fair for the price, but it isn't going to compete with the likes of the Lumia 830 or any flagships out there. It has comparatively dull colors and there's a fair distance between the glass and the screen, so the images don't look quite as superficial. If screen quality is massively important to you and you're in this price point, check out the Honor Holly from Huawei or the Motorola Moto G, both a little bit more expensive but both packing 720p displays. 5 inches also means this isn't a small phone, so definitely check it out before you pick one up and make sure it fits in your hand. Inside the screen it's Windows Phone 8.1 and the 535 also ships with Cortana, Microsoft's voice assistant, which is great. To recap, Windows Phone means 2 primary home screens, a start screen to the left which has live tiles you can pin and unpin, and you've got all your applications to the right hand side. Windows Phone has a lot of inherent issues, lack of apps and plenty of vertical lists to scroll through, but it's also a very simple user interface to get your head around and looks good across price points. It's shown off well on the Lumia 535 with smooth operation for the most part throughout. You can customize your start screen with pictures and swipe down to get your notifications tray, and you also have access to some quick toggles too. Like I said, interface performance is lag-free, but it isn't completely silky smooth with the occasional frame rate jitter here and there. As for apps, if you're not bothered about having the newest ones all the time, then Windows Phone could well suffice for you. Dropbox, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vine, Viber, WhatsApp, Tinder, if you're so inclined. They're all present, either in their original form or in a third-party remake that's pretty much just as good. A few major omissions: there's no fully functioning or at least official YouTube application, but that's partly down to Google. Neither is their Chrome browser, Amazon Instant Video for example, or Marvel Unlimited Comics, so if you subscribe to any of those services they won't be on your phone. As a result, my top tip would be search for the Windows Phone Store, and in that you can actually find out what apps are available so you can make sure you're covered for your must-haves. Moving on to multimedia, and thankfully the screen is a great size for your movies and viewing your pictures on as well. There are loads of movie apps on here, Netflix, BBC iPlayer, Crunchyroll, all present. And there's even a decent amount of codec support so you can get your own video files on here too. In our preview, early hands-on gaming was terrible. It cut out halfway through. Fortunately, with the update, not only was the screen interaction fixed, so too was the gaming performance. We managed 20 minutes of asphalt with no hitches, really decent graphics for an an £89 phone and ultimately a really fun experience. The Windows Phone game selection isn't stunning, so hardcore gamers might want to avoid it, but for the recreational gamer there's plenty on board to help you pass the time. The 5-megapixel camera took fair shots. Details mediocre, but it is great to have autofocus in an £89 phone. Low light performance isn't fantastic, though the saving grace comes in the form of the flash, which does a decent job of helping everything along. It's handy having a high resolution front-facing camera, and in decent light it does get more detail than lower res snappers out there, but in low light it really can make you look very washed out and grainy. Never a good look. The phone also shoots 480p video, which performs surprisingly well actually. The results look good on the Lumia's screen, though naturally at the low resolution they don't look as good on an HD display. It's worth noting that neither photo or video allows for digital zoom. As far as the memory goes, 8GB on board will be plenty for your basic needs, and you can stick a microSD card in there, whacking the total up by 128GB. Connections include Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi, 3G, and there's an FM radio on board too. You even have aptX lossless codec for wireless Bluetooth streaming. It's all powered along by an entry-level Qualcomm Snapdragon 200 processor clocked at 1.2 GHz. There's also 1 GB of RAM to help everything along. It doesn't benchmark particularly well, but like we said, it runs As4A, a relatively demanding 3D game, so it can't be too bad really. And given Windows Phone is a pretty efficient operating system, we don't see you running into too many issues performance-wise. The 1905 mAh battery will see this phone through a day, 2 days if you're a light user. If you're a heavy user though, then you can rely on it pretty much passing out by about 5 PM or so. That's only if you do what we did and battered it with Netflix application, connecting to the internet all the time and staring at that screen non-stop. Ultimately though, I'm at a massive advantage over all the other great reviewers who've reviewed the Lumia 535 before me. I didn't review it until after it got its update. I got to experience all the pre-update issues and got to experience all the post-update bliss. And so going back to the original question, should you buy the Lumia 535? Yes. It's a well-priced, solid performer, and everything it should have been when it launched. It's also the best you can get for the price in the Windows Phone camp, and we wouldn't go any lower or sacrifice one single spec. If you're thinking about picking up a device like this, but want an Android device, we've already mentioned the Honor Holly from Huawei, and of course the Motorola Moto G. They would be the two main competitors to the Lumia 535. Hopefully you've enjoyed my review. If you have, please click that like button and subscribe. Subscribing helps us out massively. Also, check out our new website. That's how you can be in with a chance of winning a LiveScribe pen, amongst other cool things. We'll be updating our competitions all the time. Also, if you have any questions about the Lumia 535 or any other devices I've talked about, fire them in the comments section below. Thanks for watching BTech.